The SMS Bayern was a revolutionary battleship of the Imperial German Navy during World War I, serving as the lead ship of its class. She represented a significant departure from earlier German dreadnought designs and was built as part of the naval arms race that dominated the early 20th century. The Bayern-class battleships were the largest and most powerful vessels constructed for the Kaiserliche Marine, symbolizing a culmination of German naval engineering and power projection. Design and conception. The Bayern was conceived in response to the British Royal Navy's continued advances in battleship design, particularly the Queen Elizabeth class, which outclassed earlier German ships in terms of firepower, speed, and armor. As a result, the German Admiralty sought to develop a battleship that could rival these new British designs. Planning for the Bayern class began in 1910, under the direction of the German Navy Office, Reichsmarineramt, led by Admiral Alfred von Tirpitz, who aimed to maintain the balance of naval power in the North Sea. The primary advancement of the Bayern was its armament. Unlike the previous König-class battleships, which were equipped with 10 12-inch guns, the Bayern was fitted with 8 15-inch guns arranged in 4 twin turrets. This represented a significant increase in firepower, allowing the Bayern to engage at longer ranges and deliver more devastating salvos. The larger guns also allowed the Bayern to better penetrate the thicker armor of contemporary battleships. Additionally, the Bayern was designed with a robust armor scheme that focused on protecting critical areas such as the magazines and engineering spaces. The main belt armor was up to 350 mm thick, supplemented by an armored deck and barbettes that were heavily fortified against plunging fire. The secondary armament consisted of 16 5.9-inch casemated guns for defense against destroyers and torpedo boats, along with several smaller caliber anti-aircraft guns. The propulsion system also marked an evolution in German naval design. The Bayern was equipped with 3 Parsons steam turbines, giving her a top speed of 22 knots. Though not as fast as the British Queen Elizabeth class, the Bayern was intended to operate in concert with the German High Seas Fleet, where speed was secondary to firepower and protection. Construction and launch. The SMS Bayern was ordered in 1912 under the 4th Naval Law and was laid down at the Havelswerke shipyard in Kiel on December 1913. Her construction proceeded relatively quickly, despite disruptions caused by the outbreak of World War I in August 1914. She was launched on 18th of February 1915, with Princess Therese of Bavaria serving as the ship's sponsor. Fitting out took longer than anticipated due to wartime material shortages and changing naval priorities, delaying her completion until 1916. Upon commissioning on 15th July 1916, the SMS Bayern became the flagship of the High Seas Fleet's 3 Battle Squadron, under the command of Vice Admiral Reinhard Scheer. Her arrival marked a turning point in the balance of power within the North Sea, providing the German fleet with a ship that could engage the most advanced British battleships on more equal terms. Operational history. The SMS Bayern's operational history was relatively short but eventful. Her first major action was participation in the fleet maneuvers that followed the inconclusive Battle of Jutland in 1916. Although she was not present at Jutland, the battle underscored the need for newer and more powerful battleships like the Bayern. Her presence bolstered the strength of the High Seas Fleet, making the British Grand Fleet more cautious in their future engagements. The Bayern's only significant combat operation occurred during Operation Albion in October 1917. This was a combined German Army and Navy assault on the Baltic islands of Ussel, Dago, and Moon. aimed at expelling Russian forces from the region. The Bayern was deployed to provide heavy gunfire support for the landings. During the campaign, she effectively neutralized Russian coastal defenses and engaged several Russian destroyers and smaller vessels. Her powerful 38cm guns proved devastating against fortifications, and she showcased the potential of large-caliber naval artillery in shore bombardment. However, on 12th of October 1917, the Bayern struck a Russian mine off the coast of the island of Moon. The explosion caused significant damage to her hull and flooded several compartments, forcing her to withdraw from the operation. She was towed back to Kiel for repairs, which took several months to complete. The incident highlighted the vulnerability of even the most heavily armored battleships to underwater threats such as mines and torpedoes. Fate and post-war history. By the time the Bayern returned to service in early 1918, the strategic situation for Germany had deteriorated significantly. With the United States entering the war and the blockade of German ports tightening, the High Seas Fleet spent most of its time confined to port. The German Naval Command considered deploying the fleet in a last-ditch effort to break the blockade, but the deteriorating morale of the sailors led to mutinies that ultimately prevented any such action. At the end of the war, the SMS Bayern was one of the ships ordered to be interned at Scapa Flow in November 1918 as part of the armistice terms. Along with other units of the High Seas Fleet, she was effectively placed under British custody while peace negotiations took place. When it became clear that the German ships would be seized and divided among the Allies, Rear Admiral Ludwig von Reuter, the senior German officer in charge, ordered the scuttling of the fleet on 21st June 1919 to prevent them from falling into enemy hands. The Bayern was one of the ships successfully scuttled. Her hull settled on the bottom of Scapa Flow, and she remained there until the early 1930s, when her wreck was raised and scrapped by a British salvage company. Today, only fragments of the Bayern remain, serving as a testament to a ship that represented the pinnacle of German naval power during the Dreadnought era. Legacy. The SMS Bayern and her sister ships were the last battleships constructed by Germany before the end of World War I. They showcased the peak of German naval architecture, with advancements in armament, armor, and overall design philosophy. Despite her limited combat history, the Bayern's influence was felt in subsequent battleship designs, including the planned, but never completed, Mackensen-class battlecruisers and the later H-class battleships envisioned by Nazi Germany in the 1930s. Ultimately, the Bayern symbolized both the ambitions and limitations of the Imperial German Navy. While she embodied the power and prestige of a modern fleet, her ultimate fate at Scapa Flow mirrored the collapse of the German war effort and the end of the Kaiserliche Marine as a global naval power.